You should never button your bottom button on your jacket. At least, that's what some people say. It is well known that there is an unwritten rule in menswear: never button the bottom button on your jacket. Oftentimes, this is one of the first rules someone new to suits will learn. But what if I told you that this is false? Or at least, misleading. The bottom button being undone as a trend became popular during the early 20th century, often credited to Edward VII, but regardless of its origins, it would become an established rule after the post-war period. But during the periods of the 1900s to the 1950s, it wasn't a stylistic faux pas that we see it today, and the reason really lies in the placement of the jacket and coat buttons. Many suits before the 1960s, if not most, were cut and designed in a way where all the buttons could be buttoned on the user, given that they fit the wearer, of course. The main center button was ideally placed slightly above the navel, and thus making the bottom button higher, aligned approximately around the hip, in order to not restrict the wearer's movement, even when all buttons were fastened. To contrast this, likely because of this buttoning trend gaining more steam every decade, and the changing of high-waisted trousers to lower rises, the buttoning stance on jackets moved lower, intentionally made to not have the bottom button fastened. As an example, here is this 1990s blazer. It was made with a lower buttoning stance. Thus, when the bottom button is fastened, my movement is somewhat obstructed, and the look, not so flattering. In this example, this jacket was made in a way where you can button the bottom button, and it does not affect the movement and still looks rather smart. Lastly, this 1920s double-breasted blazer also made in a way where you can button the bottom button and still look fantastic. Most modern suits and jackets are designed in a way where you can't really button the bottom. However, this isn't always the case. As long as you know which jackets work and don't work, go ahead and give it a try if you want, especially if you own a vintage piece. You might get comments on it, but don't let that deter you from expressing your style the way you want to. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to follow for more vintage content.